Good afternoon. Today we are starting our new unit. We just took our Unit 8 test, which was on the slope. So we were working with our coordinate planes with the slope. Today we're starting Unit 9. So we are going to be working on CO52. I can identify the X-intercept and Y-intercept of a line that has been graphed. So we're continuing to work with the coordinate plane. But this time, instead of working with the slope, we're going to be talking about the X and Y intercepts. Have you guys done X and Y intercepts yet? Maddie, you have an idea?
I think a little bit in third grade or something. Or not. No, we've never done this before.
So you might be thinking of something else, or maybe you had an introduction to it, but it's new for most of us. Okay, so that's the fun thing about Prealgebra is some of the stuff when we first started working with the graphing and the coordinate planes, people were like, oh, I've done this before, I know what I'm doing, and then we threw in the slope, and people went, oh, wait, some of this is new. Now we're getting even newer stuff. So the first thing that I think of when I hear the intercept, it makes me think of football. Why does it make me think of football, Cole?
Because of an interception.
Because of an interception. What is an interception?
When the other team picks it off.
When the other team picks off a pass. They intercept the ball. So it's that connecting of the other team with the ball. So the X-intercept and the Y-intercept have to do with that connecting. So instead of connecting with the ball that they're catching, it's connecting with the X-axis and the Y-axis. So let's write down what our definitions are. So we have our X-intercept is where the line crosses the x-axis. And it will always, you'll have the x and then a 0 for the y. So you'll have your x, but the y will always be a 0 because that's where it crosses that x-axis at the 0. Any guesses as to what the y-intercept is?
Same thing.
So it's where the line crosses the y-axis. And what coordinate do you think it will always be? What do you think, Maddie?
I think it will always be 0, 1.
Yeah, that x will always be at a 0, and then we'll have our y. So if the x is always at the 0, it'll be on the line. Paul?
Can you just draw the arrow down and then change it? Like for the definition?
No, you're going to actually rewrite it so it gets sunk into your brain. There's something to be said about actually writing it out for you to remember it and to understand it. So just drawing the arrow down, you're going to be losing a little bit of it. It's really not that much writing to do either. All right, so both the X-intercept and Y-intercept are special in that a line only has one of each. They are each written as an ordered pair. How are we feeling about that? Okay, we knew, since we've been doing some of these new units of instruction, that the first objective that we do is always a little bit easier. We're kind of doing our baby steps, stepping in, saying, okay, this is new information. How do I work with it? So this is going to be a smaller amount of information that we're taking in today, figuring out what the Y-intercept and X-intercept actually are. And we're going to be building on it as we go through this unit. So it's important that you let me know if we're getting to a point where we go, wait a minute, we need to go over that again. So let's look at our Y-intercepts and X-intercepts. We need to decide if each ordered pair is an X-intercept, if it's a Y-intercept, or if it's neither. And here's the key part. Explain how you know. So if we look at our first one, the coordinates are 5, 0. What do you think that is? Is it an X-intercept, a Y-intercept, or neither? What do you think, Izzy?
An X-intercept because it's the X and intercept.
So Izzy is saying it's an X-intercept. So you would write out X-intercept, and then we have to explain how you know. Because the Y is a 0. So we know it's going to cross that X-axis because the Y is the 0. Write down what you think the next one is. And why. So put down what you think it is and why. We're not raising our hands yet. Because we have to write it out. Why is it what you think it is?
I think it's going to be Y.
W-H-Y. That Y. Leo, what's your thought on that one? What do you think it is?
I think it's neither because none of them are zeros.
Leo says neither. So I'm going to put an N for neither. And give me the reason again, a little bit louder so we can all hear.
Because none are zeros.
Because there's no zeros. No zero. So there is a number for the Y, there's a number for the X, there's no zero. So it's not crossing the Y-axis or the X-axis at all. Paul?
Wait, but if the X, like if it's an X-intercept and it has a negative number, because negatives are below 0, would that make it?
Well, what is the 0? So if we look at one of these graphs down here, if it's a -4, 0, is it on the X-axis?
Yeah.
If it's a 4, 0, is it on the X-axis? So it doesn't matter if it's on the negative side or the positive side? No, as long as it's crossing that X-axis. So that was a great question. It doesn't matter if it's on the positive or negative side, as long as that X-axis is the X-axis. It's going across the bottom or going across horizontally. So as long as it's touching it horizontally, it's the intercept. Nathan?
Could there be both? Because if it's 0, 0.
That's a great question.
Because the line could still cross all the way.
Yeah,
right?
so we could have a line going through 0, 0. So could that be the X-intercept and the Y-intercept? What do you guys think?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's still intersecting at the, and it's still at the 0. It's still going across.
So give me a thumbs up if you think it counts for both the X and the Y-intercepts. Give me a thumbs down if you think it doesn't count. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of us putting our thumbs up. Some of us still aren't quite sure. It does count because that's still the X-axis and it's still the Y-axis because it doesn't stop at that 0. That line goes all the way across. So if it's crossing that line, it's crossing the line. Same thing with the Y. That line doesn't stop and then start back up. It's still going. So if it crosses it, it crosses it. So you're right, 0, 0 would count for both intercepts. Wow, you guys are coming up with some great questions. Let's look at -17, 0. What would that be? Did you write down? I know some of us were working ahead on that. Write down your reason why. Don't just put X or Y or neither. Write down your reason why. Sam?
It would be X-intercept because the Y is 0.
So it would be the X-intercept. The reason why is Y equals 0. You're going to do the rest of those on your own. We'll talk about them tomorrow. I want to move down to the graph part of it. Are we good if I erase? Everybody's got the definitions? Okay. All right. Write the X. Oh, my goodness. Technology. There we go. Write the X-intercept and Y-intercept of each graph. So you'll notice these lines, they have them crossing the X-axis and the Y-axis on each graph. So you're going to write 2 ordered pairs, one for the X-intercept, one for the Y-intercept. Here's the thing. I want you to tell me which one is the X and which one is the Y. Because we need to make sure we're keeping it straight, which one would be the X-intercept and which one is the Y-intercept. So I can look at this and I see we're intercepting right here and we're intercepting right here. The trick is to know which one is the X-intercept and which one is the Y-intercept. So we're going to put X, and then we're going to put our ordered pair, and we're going to put Y, and then our ordered pair. So which one would be my X-intercept for that first line? Sam?
It would be -2, 0.
-2 is our X axis. That's where it crosses. And then Y has to be a 0. So when I do my Y-intercept, what does the X have to be?
A 0.
A 0. And Paul, what would the Y-intercept be?
2.
So if we go up the Y-axis, it crosses over at 2. So the Y would be 0, 2. So it's very important that we label which one is our X-intercept and which one is the Y-intercept. So that way we keep in mind which one is which. Because we know it's got to be crossing the line, but you need to remember which one's the X-axis, which one's the Y-axis.
Is that all we're going to have to do?
I told you, we're just easing in to this new unit, easing into our intercepts. So it's new vocabulary that we're doing. This is a smaller assignment. Are there any other questions about, you guys had come up with some really good questions about the X-intercept and Y-intercept. Any other questions as we're doing the work? Thumbs up if you're feeling ready for this assignment. Give me a little shake if you're not quite sure. Okay, we're all feeling pretty confident? All right, so your assignment is to finish this page. So make sure at the top you are writing your reasoning for if it's the X-intercept, Y-intercept, or neither. For your graphs, you're labeling it. If it's the X-intercept or the Y-intercept, you're putting your ordered pairs for both. We will be checking these tomorrow. When you are finished with the assignment, go back over and double check that you didn't flip them. Super common for kids to accidentally put the Y-intercept for the X-intercept. Super easy to do that. So double check your work. Then when you're done, we've got Khan Academy and math packets that we're going to work on. So if you finish the assignment, you don't have any questions, Khan Academy or math packets. It's quiet work time right now, so if anybody has questions, they can come see me. For my friends at home, we hope you are well, and we hope to see you soon.